Hello and welcome to today's English lesson. My name is Stuart. In today's lesson, we're looking at conditionals and alternatives to using if. Let's go to the intro. Now, as I said, today's lesson is looking at conditional sentences and alternatives to using if. Now, we all know that conditional sentences normally start with an if, or most commonly start with an if clause, but there are other ways that we can substitute the if clause for one of these alternatives. Now, you know that we have zero conditionals, first conditionals, second, third conditionals, mixed conditionals, and surprisingly, even advanced English students that I speak to sometimes have trouble with conditionals, especially the second and the third conditionals, which can get a bit complicated, not to mention the mixed conditionals, as I said before. But when you get above the first certificate level, B2 and above, you have to have the flexibility and the range to be able to use conditionals without if. So, in this lesson, we're going to look at unless, as long as, providing, provided that, supposing, suppose, on condition that, and without or but for, in order to substitute the if clause. Now, let's have a look at the first one. The first one is unless. Now, unless is substituting if, of course. And we can see here in the example questions, unless you clean your room, you won't go to the party. Unless you clean your room, you won't go to the party. Now, if we used if in that sentence, it would be, if you don't clean your room, you won't go to the party. So we're substituting the if for unless. Second sentence, we won't be going on holiday unless we win the lottery. So if we don't win the lottery, we won't be going on holiday. So virtually impossible to go on holidays this year. So unless we win the lottery, we won't be going on holiday, or we won't be going on holiday unless we win the lottery. Now you'll see here that the unless clause is coming second in the sentence, and here it's first. So you'll notice the use of a comma and no comma. So that's also something that we need to keep in mind, that when we use unless at the end of the sentence or the second clause, okay, there's no comma. Now the second example is with as long as, providing, or provided that. So we have three different choices here. They mean the same thing, more or less. So we can say, you can go to the party as long as you're home by 11 p.m. Okay? So you can go to the party as long as you're home by 11 p.m. Now, if we wanted to put if into this sentence, the traditional conditional, we would say, you can go to the party if you're home by 11 p.m. But we're substituting if for as long as. So you can go to the party as long as you're home by 11 p.m. Again, no comma. Second example, you can go out tonight providing you act responsibly. So if you act responsibly, you can go out tonight. So we're substituting again the if for providing. As long as, providing, provided that. Similar meanings with the three. The next example is with supposing or suppose. You can use both. Supposing is more common. Suppose seems to be a little bit less formal. So supposing you had a dog, would you have time to walk it? So supposing you had a dog, again, if you had a dog, but here we're substituting. So supposing you had a dog, would you have time to walk it? Now I've put a full stop there. I have seen commas in this type of sentence, but I decided to put a full stop there. I don't know whether it's more correct, but I've seen both used. And here, suppose they split up, talking about a couple, suppose they split up, suppose they separated. she'd get custody of the kids, right? Or wouldn't she? She'd get custody of the kids. So again, if they split up, she'd get custody of the kids, right? So again, we're substituting if here for suppose. Now the next one is on condition that, and on condition that is very similar to providing or provided that. So, example, I'll let you watch the movie on condition that you then go to bed. So, again, I'll let you watch the movie if you then or if you afterwards go to bed. Okay, so we're substituting the if again for on condition that. Now, the last one here is without or but for. Let's have a look at the sentences. The first one, without her support, he wouldn't have got through the crisis. Without her support. If it wasn't for her support, if it wasn't for her support, he wouldn't have got through the crisis. Substituting the if clause for without. Second example, they wouldn't have survived without the unemployment benefits. So if they didn't have the unemployment benefits, they wouldn't have survived. So we're substituting again the if clause for without. And the last sentence with but for, they wouldn't have won but for the last minute goal. So they wouldn't have won if they didn't score the last minute goal. So we're substituting that if clause here for but for. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways, or perhaps even more because we have different words that mean the same thing, but different ways that you can substitute the if clause in English when using conditionals in order to improve your writing and your speaking skills and give you more fluency and range when you speak English. Now, thank you very much for watching the lesson. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Remember to share the video on social media, please, if you can. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest. Share it up on social media. I'll see you in the next lesson. Have a great day. Bye.